We are back, and guess what I have? I have all the boats that all of my friends made based on the video that I had posted on Monday, where students had to think of all the things around their house that they could make a boat out of. They made a boat, and they tested to make sure that they could float, and then I went to school and I picked them all up. So let's take a look at the boats that everyone made. All right, this is the first boat that we have. This boat was made by this person. Can everyone look at the letters in this person's name? It starts with the letter H. We have two friends at our school with with their name starting with the letter H. What are they? Whose boat was this? What's that? The two are Harper and Harrison. Let's look at the name again. Is it Harper or Harrison? It's Harper. That is for Harper. So this is the boat that Harper made. If you notice, Harper made her boat out of a plastic material. Let's see what other boats we have. All right, here is our second boat. This boat was made by someone whose name starts with a C-O-N-N-O-R. We have two friends that have their names start with the letter C in our class. C-O-N-N-O-R spells Connor. Good job. He made a super cool boat, and his boat is also out of plastic. Let's see what other boats we have. Look at this cool boat we have. Do you see the beautiful sails, the colors? This boat also is made out of plastic. And for this one, our friend who made this, his name starts with the letter E, then L-I-J-A-H. Do we know whose friend from our school starts with the letter E? Elijah starts with the letter E. So this is Elijah's boat. And he actually had a lot of help from all of his family members. Love your boat, Elijah. Let's see what else we have. All right, so this boat was actually just being kept in here. So let's just look at the boat. This boat is pretty cool. You want to know what I noticed? It looks like there's plastic on the bottom. Looks like there's some cardboard material. There's some straws. And let's see. This person's name starts with a K-A-I-A. The person who made this boat's name's Kaya. Kaya made this boat. Let's see what other boats we have. Whoa, look at this boat. This boat, to tell who made this boat, we have to look at the letters on the sails right here. So there's a B, O, D, and an E, which is a nickname for our friend Bodell at school. And he made his out of plastic as well. If you look inside, he even put a friend to go along for our ride. Let's see what other boats we have. Whoa! We have Captain Batman coming through. This boat is actually made out of wood. Look, our friend Jackson Blue cut out the middle with the help of his dad, and they made a really super cool boat out of wood. If we were to look at the letters in his name starts with the letter J, A-C-K-S-O-N. Now, we have a couple students in our classroom with the letter J. Other than Jackson, what other letters or names do we have in our classroom? We have Jacob, starts with the letter J. Jasmine starts with the letter J. All right, now that we know who made the boats, let's see how many boats we actually have. Let's do some counting. All right, so here are all of our boats. Now let's start with this one and let's count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I need my other hand, 6. We have 6 total boats for our boat race today. So, in addition to looking at all the boats, I wanted to give you guys some background information of research I did to figure out why things float in water. You guys did an experiment to make these boats to see if they actually floated in water. I made a couple boats that they were floating, but they toppled over. So I was wondering, why do things float in water? So I did some research, and it's a really, really big word called density. And how dense things are determines if they can float in water. So what that means is that for something to float in water, it has to be less dense than the water below it. So what is density? Density doesn't mean that something is bigger or smaller than the water below it. It doesn't mean that it weighs more or less than the thing below it. It basically means how much space is it taking up and how much space does it have inside of it. So when we're looking at our boats, for example, this boat floated in water. It's made out of plastic, which I found out that most plastics are gonna float in water because they are less dense than the water below it. When we're looking at this bottle, do you see all this empty space inside of it? The empty space helps make this less dense than the water below it. So for the same thing of why this is gonna float in water. This is made out of wood, which most wood is gonna float in water unless it's super big and it's not hollow. Jackson hollowed out the wood inside of his boat, which makes this boat less dense than the water below it, so it's gonna float. Pretty cool learning about density and why things float in water. I decided to do even more research. All right, so now we figured out why plastic and why wood float in water. I wanted to give you guys real examples of why things float in water. So I'm sure if you've ever gone to a river before, you've gone to the lake, you've seen these things floating in water with people in them. A lot of those things are kayaks or canoes. I did some research and I found out what kayaks are made out of. Kayaks are made out of something that's called rotomolded polyethylene. That is a really big word to say it's made out of plastic. Okay, so that's why kayaks float. They're made out of plastic. We just talked about how plastic is less dense in the water, and that's why it's gonna float. There's a lot of space in the hollowed out area of the boat. So then, why do canoes float? What are canoes made out of? Canoes, when they first were ever made, they were made out of wood. They would take a big log and they would hollow it out, kind of like what our friend Jackson did with his boat, but that's wasting a lot of wood. So then they decided to just do a wood frame that they put canvas over, and that's how they made the boat float. Nowadays, a lot of our canoes are actually made out of aluminum, and for the same reason why wood floats on water, they do just a thin layer of the aluminum, and then they make sure there's a lot of space, empty space on the inside where it's hollowed out. That allows it to be less dense than the water below it. So now we understand why boats float. So now that we know why boats float and why things float in water, for my experiment today, we need to think about how am I going to go to a creek, put boats in it, and do a race out of creeks. Have you ever been to a river or a creek before? Is it just water like standing still, or is it moving? To understand this, I made a drawing of it. Ready? So this is a drawing. All this green up here are mountains. All these thick blue lines are rivers. And then these really tiny lines are creeks. Down below is a huge body of water. It could be a lake, it could be a pond, whatever it is, right? So what happens is that things kind of like, if I were to drop this pen from right here, is it gonna stay floating here? No. Gravity makes things go from up high all the way down to the lowest point. It stops on the floor. It doesn't go through the floor, it stops on the floor. So that's the same how a river works. Water on mountains go down the mountain and collect in a body of water. Why creeks are different than rivers is that a river is a bigger body of water that is traveling down to a lake or a pond. And you can see in my drawing, a creek is just smaller and it connects to rivers. Pretty cool, right? But the whole point of why we can do a boat race in a river is that just like how the water runs from the mountain down to the body of water, that's how rivers work. There's always a thing called a current, where the water is moving from a high point to the lower point or to the body of water. So when I decided where I was going to do the boat race, I had to think, where do I want to start that's going to follow the current to an end point? All right, guys, I'm going to go get changed to get outside. It's kind of been snowing today. It's kind of been sunny. So I'm going to be prepared for whatever weather. I'm going to go down to the creek and we'll keep videotaping there. See you in a minute. Hey guys. All right, I'm in the woods. We got to walk a little ways to get to where the creek is, but I have all the boats, my doggy who's going crazy, but I'll show you where we're going to do the experiment. All right guys, so I just got down to the creek. That's where we are. And I realized we have a couple problems. First problem is that it rained recently. I was going to launch all of the boats off of a bridge I built right there. If you can see, the rain actually made the bridge move, and so there's no longer a spot for me to stand on there to launch it. So that's my first problem. My second problem is how am I going to put all these boats in to the water and videotape it at the same time when I'm by myself with my dog. So I'm going to try to figure out how to do all that. If you guys just stay patient, you will see in a second what I figure out. All right, so I have a solution. My solution, because I'm wearing boots and it's not that deep right there, I'm going to stand in the water right over there. I'm going to let the boats go. They will go down the creek all the way to right there where that stick is in the water, or the branch. And then whoever gets there first is the boat that wins. All right, let's see if this works. All right, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go down there. I'm going to use this stick and put all the boats lined up. Then I'm going to lift the stick and start the race. You guys ready? I don't think I'm ready because I have to go in cold water, but I am ready if you are. Now I gotta watch them. Uh-oh, one boat is under the water right there. All right, looks like Connors is in the lead right now. But what's gonna happen coming around the bend? Whoa. All right, going across the finish line is Connor first, Jackson second, Elijah in third place. Bodie's is stuck, but Kaya's went flying by. Bodie's is picking up speed now, and I think Harper's is still somewhere over there. All right, that's it, guys. They're still going. Goodbye, boats. Good job, preschool, making super cool boats.